Big changes in the Rookie of the Year odds. We're breaking it down. Where does Bo Nix stack up to Jayden Daniels? Plus, Broncos made a moved on from Greg Dulcich. What's that mean for Josh Reynolds and Drew Sanders? Todd clapping for that one. Plus, we're diving into the inside scoop. Maybe he's clapping for that one. We're diving into all of it on a big show now. Welcome to the Bo Show and the DNVR Broncos Podcast. We are rocking and rolling with Super Bowl 50 champ Todd Davis, Henry Chisholm. You're here behind the camera, and yours truly, Zach Stevens, rocking and rolling with you live from the Toyota Lounge, driven by your Front Range Toyota stores. And we are inside the DNVR bar, presented by Bet365. Use that code DNVR365. Deposit $10, place a $5 bet, and you're going to get $150 in bonus bets, plus Altitude Plus, courtesy of Bet365. Man, we got Nuggets, Avs, Thanksgiving, full slate of games, and then, of course, Broncos prime time Monday night football to round us out. If you're going to get in, Bet365 is the place to go to bet. Fellas, how we doing?
Feel good. Feels good to be back in the studio, back rocking and rolling with you guys. So let's rock. Thanksgiving's on the way. Best holiday ever. Well, not for the food. I mean, it's not the best holiday. Christmas is that, but
yeah. Thank you.
Wow.
Food.
I take Thanksgiving over Christmas.
Why?
Oh my god.
It's just the food, the football. Like, it's just so easy, too. Like, Christmas, you guys are talking about how you're doing all your Christmas shopping, all that stuff, which is, like, a cool, fun thing that we shouldn't get rid of, but it does add way more stress to that holiday versus just, like, Thanksgiving. Everybody makes, like, a casserole or something, you go eat. You watch football all day. Incredible.
Casserole. That's like even the worst.
Okay, I mean, I don't even like casserole, but like, you know.
You don't even like the one food that you pointed to.
Henry just hates Jesus. That's all I'm hearing.
That's not
That
it.
could be true, too.
It's not even his actual birthday.
We're not having one casserole by Thanksgiving, so I don't know what you guys are cooking over there.
Wait, so if you're not doing it, are you doing actual Thanksgiving food?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay. Well,
I'm going to bring you a plate. I'm already since we have work on Friday.
I think you said that last week or last year.
No, since we have work on Friday, I'm going to bring you a plate.
Yes, and speaking of scheduling update for this week, let's get into some food talk tomorrow. But we will be on tomorrow, Wednesday. Then we'll have Baldy on as well. To Thursday, we're taking off for Thanksgiving. And then we'll be back Friday with the Monday night game. We're going to do one extra pod at the end of the week and give our final picks for what's going on. Then, of course, next week we'll be off on the weekend because the Broncos don't play. Then next week we've got the pregame show, the tailgate starting right before the Broncos game. Then, of course, post-game show. And, man, we are in quite a time for the Broncos. And let's dive into this show because there's a lot to get to. And let's start with some news that just dropped. Guys, once again, Bo Nix is nominated for the NFL's Rookie of the Week. He has been nominated in 7 of the 12 weeks so far. And man, I wonder if this is one that he'll win this week because he obviously put up crazy stats the week before, took home AFC Offensive Player of the Week along with Rookie of the Week. I'm curious what other rookies around the league did. I was pretty locked in on the Broncos, so I don't really know if Bo's 2 touchdowns will get the job done this week. Did any other rookies stand out to you guys?
No. I was just trying to pull it up. But unless Drake May did something. I know we lost, but I remember he had like a couple throws that people were tweeting about.
Let's see who's up for this week.
It wouldn't be Bowers.
Jayden Daniels is up for this week.
2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions.
No.
There we go.
Nope.
Bo Nix is up. Caleb Williams is up for this award. He did have 68% completion, 340 yards, 2 touchdowns, 103 passer rating.
That'll do it.
In a loss.
I don't think
Bucky
We
Irving.
found out it didn't matter, though.
I don't think it matters.
I think it plays into it.
How many yards did he have?
304. Let me just read the other guys, okay?
It's him.
Jeez.
That's the one.
Bucky Irving, 151 yards from scrimmage. He had 87 rushing, 64 receiving, and a rushing touchdown. See,
maybe it's him.
We need all the information. Henry's already crowned 2 guys by now.
Well, it's not.
Chop Robinson, 4 tackles, 1.5 sacks, 2 passes defended. It's a pretty damn good game, especially from a defensive side. And then Jarvis Brownlee, who had 4 tackles, an interception, 3 passes defended, and a tackle for a loss. I'll give it to him. If there's ever going to be a week where a non-quarterback wins this award, it might be this week. Bucky Irving, Chop Robinson, or Caleb Williams. But it did come in a loss. I think it factors in. It doesn't mean everything, but it factors in.
Bo won Rookie of the Week and lost.
Yeah, but it's against the Chiefs.
But did he? What was his yardage?
What did he have? 200 or so?
And
I don't
2
remember.
touchdowns.
Yeah. 2
Caleb
touchdowns.
had what?
2 touchdowns, 340 yards. I think it's going to be him too, Todd. I'm just trying to build the case
Okay, I thought
against
you were
him
being,
right now. Bo, of course, 273 yards, 2 touchdowns, 94.6 rating. And we also know, Todd, you really taught us the undrafted respect, disrespect that undrafted guys get. I think there's even that disrespect when you're the 6th quarterback taken at 12 as opposed to the number 1 overall pick. So Caleb probably will win that. We'll find that out in 2 days from now. But one thing we know, and this factors into this, the Rookie of the Year odds are just drastically shifting. 2 weeks ago, Jayden Daniels was minus 1,400. Henry, you're used to betting and odds. That's as much of a lock as it gets, right?
Yeah, you'd think.
Bo was plus 1,400 2 weeks ago. Last week, it drastically changed after Bo went out and won AFC Player of the Week, Rookie of the Week. He went from plus 1,400 to plus 500, or no, to plus 350, where Jayden Daniels went from minus 1,400 to minus 500. Still a heavy favorite, but significant change in odds. Now, there's no significant heavy favorite with this award right now. Jayden Daniels minus 170, so still the favorite. Bo Nix plus 120, so almost 1-to-1 odds for Bo Nix now. Guys, this award, I just can't emphasize enough how much this has changed in the past 2 weeks, and it all favors Bo.
Yeah, Bo's been playing really well in the past 2 weeks, and I think a lot of people have been, tuning in because his play continues to elevate, and you're only going to get more recognition when people tune in and you continue to play well. So I think he's on the right track. I think Monday night is going to be a huge night for everybody. Everybody's going to have watch football Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and it's going to all crescendo with Bo Nix Monday Night Football. Like, it'll be the last thing people think about going into the next week. It's going to be a good opportunity for him to show what he can do and really, get to negative odds to win that.
I'm getting the chills just thinking about that. I love the way you built that up. Man, I'm ready to go, man.
Yeah.
Let's Bo.
I mean, the lead just keeps getting smaller and smaller. And at this point, just stat-wise, Bo Nix could be within a couple weeks of catching up with Jayden, which is pretty crazy because the start of the season for Jayden was insane. And there's still work to be done because in basically every stat, Jayden's in front. But you see those margins just slipping and slipping and slipping to the point where he's like 70 yards behind now, like 1.5 yards per pass attempt, less than 4 points on the completion percentage, 8 points in the passer rating. So like if Jayden Daniels keeps his trend downward going and Bo can kind of keep doing what he's doing, all of a sudden it could be like he could pull in front.
And I think that we're actually closer to that happening. I think in 1 week we could be talking about Bo actually being the favorite. So if you wanted to get in on this might be the last week where you're at plus odds. Broncos have a bye week following this game, so probably nothing's going to change much after that. The Commanders actually had the same bye week as the Broncos. And here's another very interesting part of this. Just like MVP, typically MVP is given to a winning team, right? A guy on a winning team, a guy on a playoff team, one of the best teams in the NFL. A couple weeks ago, when Jayden Daniels was minus 1,400 and Bo was plus 1,400, the Washington Commanders were 7-2. And it was like, dang, they might be one of the best teams like in the NFC right now, compete for that number 1 seed. The Broncos were, 5-5 at that point? So just an okay team compared to a great team. That really favored Jayden Daniels. Since then, the Steelers have lost 3 straight games. The Commanders have lost 3 straight games. One to the Pittsburgh Steelers, respectable by 1 point. One to the Philadelphia Eagles, wasn't really that close at the end on Thursday Night Football 2 weeks ago. And then the brutal one. They lost to Dallas Cowboys. Not just the Dallas Cowboys. Jayden Daniels lost to Cooper Rush. And that is bad optics. Now, this week, Jayden Daniels plays the Tennessee Titans. If you lose to Cooper Rush at home, and then you lose to Will Levis and the 3-8 Tennessee Titans at home, and the Broncos take care of business, and the Broncos are on a 3-game win streak, Tuesday morning, Bo Nix will be the favorite. I can't imagine them losing to the Titans, but I also didn't expect them to lose to the Cowboys last week either. If they lose that week, that game, the award's over. I honestly think that Bo Nix will be the favorite for the Rookie of the Year and just continue to run away with it.
I don't know. I don't know. Because I feel like in the games that I've watched, even the Dallas game, like, Jayden Daniels really didn't. I mean, he had 2 interceptions, which is not good, but there's a lot of the stuff that this defense gave up, special teams gave up. I think he did enough to win that game. So I think if anything, they get to even odds. But I still think this has to be, full 17 games before we're able to say who definitively won or not.
Yeah. The other big piece of this is that Brock Bowers had a terrible game last week. Pat Surtain and other guys did work against him too, but having him have that game just makes this open up so much more because quarterbacks typically don't win this award, which is kind of crazy. In the past 10 years, only 4 quarterbacks have won. Like, it feels like every year it's quarterback, but then you go back and it's Jamar Chase or it's whoever else. And, Brock Bowers was on pace to set the all-time receptions record for a rookie, not just a rookie tight end, but for a rookie in general. And beyond that, all like the tight end receiving records and all that. To have him fall off, it really does feel like it's just between these two, which I think is probably another reason the odds probably go up a little bit, just because they have separated themselves from the pack.
To be fair, though, I think Brock was at like plus 2,500 last week. He's at 2,800 now. So, I mean, it was a 2-man race.
Yeah, there were others up there, weren't there?
No, I think at least as
Even
of last
Caleb was
week.
Gone?
Yeah, Caleb was like plus 5,000 last week. Now he's plus 5,500.
No, Bowers is third now.
He's even dropped back. And I think Bowers was third last week as well. It's kind of crazy how far Caleb has dropped, especially with all the hype being the number 1 overall pick.
28-1 if you have that Bo bet. That might be a nice little hedge there.
I think that's probably where, if you're looking for value, that's where it's at. And Todd, you mentioned just one thing that I want to touch on before we move on. You said Jayden Daniels had 2 interceptions last week. That's true. He had 275 yards, 2 touchdowns, but 2 interceptions. Bo Nix has had 2 total interceptions in the past 7 games. So that is just crazy, and I think it shows just another thing of how good of a season Bo Nix is having here. So we'll continue to follow these odds, but let's dive into the film. Let's do a little inside scoop to see what happened in that Broncos game. The good, the bad, the ugly, the great. And let's do that after I give a shout out to our friends over at Verizon. We would like to welcome our newest partner, Verizon, and 'tis the season to switch to Verizon. Even though Henry doesn't like Christmas, it's Verizon season, Henry. And you can get $200 Verizon gift card when you switch and purchase a select phone on the Select Unlimited plan. That's right, a $200 Verizon gift card. Start the holidays off with this great network and use that gift card for great other tech gifts like a smartwatch, tablet, headphones, and more. Also, be on the lookout very soon for ticket giveaway for the Denver Broncos game courtesy of Verizon. So switch now and get a $200 gift card only at Verizon. $200 Verizon e-gift card sent within 8 weeks, requires device payment purchase, minimum retail price of $799.99, and port in with new smartphone line on postpaid Unlimited Plus or Unlimited Ultimate plan required. So check them out, Verizon. Get that $200 Verizon gift card when you switch and purchase a new or a select phone on select unlimited plans.
Also, shout out to Toyota. They make a whole bunch of what we do possible. Not just like by building a studio, but that's also how you get to work and do the show and all that, because Toyotas are just the best cars out there.
The best.
They make a whole bunch of hybrid vehicles. There's 16 different hybrids now. Stuff like the Tundra iForce Max hybrid truck, 17 different models with available all-wheel drive or four-wheel drive, like the Epic 4Runner. They offer more low and zero emission vehicles combined than any other automaker. And that gives customers numerous choices to reduce their carbon footprint. With all these awesome options, you can go check them out. You can visit your Front Range Toyota stores at a location near you. There's the Auto Nation Toyota Arapahoe and Centennial, Corwin Toyota in Boulder, Groove Toyota in Littleton, Mountain States Toyota in Denver, Stevenson Toyota East in Aurora, Stevenson Toyota West in Lakewood, Toyota, the official automotive partner of the NFL, and the official vehicle of DNVR.
Man, I don't know if it's because it's Thanksgiving week, if it's Broncos on a couple game win streak right now, but the vibes are good in the Toyota Lounge. The vibes are good in the Toyota chat. Hit us with the thumbs up if you're tuning in with us. We really appreciate it. Again, we'll be back tomorrow before the holiday. And shout out to our presenting sponsor, Bet365. And let's dive in to the inside scoop.
All right, let's do it, man. The Broncos got another win against the Raiders. And I think the Broncos played a really good game. Everybody knows Bo Nix and his stats, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. But here's a little bit of film to kind of break down how they got there. So you get Bo Nix. He's in the pocket. He's getting a cover 2 look. So corner's jamming. He's going to be able to sink. You got these 2 safeties in deep pass, and you got the middle field runner running the middle of the field trying to protect the middle of the field. Bo Nix does a good job here sitting in the pocket. O-line does a great job protecting him. We know that we have the best pass blocking offensive line, according to PFF. Can't always take their stats as accurate, but I will take this one. So shout out to the O-line for doing a good job of protecting him. He does come under a little pressure here, but does a great job of keeping his eyes downfield, being able to see his wide receivers. And this position is tough. Like, this is the exact route concept that you want against cover 2. You put the corner in a bind here. So do you sink and protect this one and they throw this one, or do you dive up and then they can hit the deep one? Well, what they teach you is to sink back and then always run and tackle the catch. But what he does is kind of bites on the cheese, little Jordan Humphreys, and that allows Vele to get open on the sideline. Bo Nix does a great job. He throws on him run here. He doesn't set his feet, which was scary earlier in the year, but he did a great job of getting the ball to Vele here for about 18.
Why wouldn't the safety go over and help? I mean, he'd probably be too late to get there anyway, but it seems like that would be in his wheelhouse. Yeah,
because they tell that corner to play deep to short. And then also with the routes coming from the front side, you can't just vacate this area, because if they run this tight end, instead of running him an in-breaking route, if they run him straight to the post, that's a lot of stress on this linebacker. So they need the safety to stay high and be able to break down.
Yeah, great read by Bo there. And this was a key drive. They started at the 1.
Yep.
And this play really helped him get some breathing room.
It really, really did. So they'll continue to put together some good plays. And I think Bo Nix is finding his stride. And, hopefully he'll be the Rookie of the Year for the Denver Broncos this year. All right, this next play, I got to talk about my guy, Nick Bonitto. He's doing a lot of stuff in the passing game, and he's able to get to the quarterback, and everybody's recognizing he has 10 sacks, had a great play this game, but he's doing much more than just getting to the quarterback. So right here they have a screen called. They're backed up. They've had a couple penalties to put them in this bad position backed up. And they have this saying, like, on outside linebacker, it feels too good, you got to pull out. So
that's the saying.
That's the saying. Yeah. So this was feeling too good. So Nick does a great job. Like, he does a great job of getting a PBU on this play, and getting in the way of, the receiver trying to run the screen, because actually if they catch this, they have way too many numbers and he might hit his head on the goalpost. But it's a great job by Nick Bonitto, but I want to show you, like, the front angle of what he sees. So he's like in a wide 9 technique, wide 7 because there's no tight end. So he's rushing off the edge here. But he does a great job of understanding nobody's trying to block me. I know I'm doing a great job of getting to the quarterback, but this just feels too easy. So as soon as he comes off the ball, he puts his foot in the dirt and starts redirecting backwards, because this tackle doesn't even act like he's trying to block him. Now they tell the tackle to set, fake, and then go, but of course he didn't do his job. But Nick Bonitto did a great job of feeling, hey, nobody's blocking me on this play. Something's not right. They're not just going to give me sacks. That's not what they're here to do. And does a great job redirecting here and being able to make this play, because like we said on the first slide, if Nick Bonitto doesn't make this play, they have more than enough bodies for this play to be very successful for them. So great job by Nick Bonitto. And these are the plays that you don't realize, they don't highlight, that really are game saving and changing plays.
He blew up 2 of those screens in the first quarter.
Yep.
He did this twice, which is pretty crazy.
Man, that must be the most difficult thing for a pass rusher.
Yeah.
When you've got your ears pinned back and then it feels too good, you recognize, and then you pull out of that just like he did. Really, really impressive. And that's one of the things, honestly, that Vance Joseph has talked about, why Nick Bonitto has gotten more sacks is because he's got more playing time, because he's become more of an all-around player, better in the run game, but then it's things like this, too, that aren't just the run game. It's the mental side of the game, too.
Yeah, pull-out game has to be strong.
Or else what?
Or else you get caught in something you weren't supposed to be. All right, next play here. This isn't a great play from the Denver Broncos defense, but I just want to break down, why it happened. So we have everybody man-to-man, and unfortunately this play is designed to where everybody's man-to-man and kind of everybody's also responsible for the running back. So based on this play, they have what's called a peel on. So everybody's man-to-man, but everybody's also blitzing up in the middle. So they have peel, which means that if the running back swings to your side, the defensive end that's to that side is supposed to take him. But if the running back steps up, whoever he blocks has to grab him because we have nobody covering him on this play. So unfortunately, this tough task gets given to Jonah Ellis, and then usually running backs run a lot of swing routes, a lot of check downs, a lot of easy routes for DNs to cover, especially when you have, people heating up the quarterback. You're like, okay, ball's coming out quick. If he has to cover him for 2 or 3 seconds, that's okay. Like we can handle it. But unfortunately, Gardner Minshew does a good job of evading pressure here because we have a free rusher, and then he's able to get this ball to his running back in the end zone. That's just a tough play to make because it's a zero blitz. It's man-to-man. There's no deep safety help, and everybody's rushing, trying to get to the quarterback quickly, and this is the only place he can kind of go with the ball to make a play. And it's tough. It's really tough on a outside linebacker, and, it's not an easy play to make.
So then is that on Vance for making that call? Is that on Jonah for not being able to make a really good play? I mean, you even point out right here, look, he's in pretty damn good coverage there.
Yeah.
Or is that just one where you tip your cap to the Raiders and Gardner Minshew for making the right call and then also making the right
you got to tip your hat, to the Raiders. They did a good job on here. I hate giving the Raiders credit, but it's okay because they lost, so we can give them just a little bit of love. And so, also, I think you just got to say, that was a great job of getting out of the pressure. It's a great job of finding a way to put the ball on his running back. The only thing I can say about Jonah Ellis is maybe get a little bit more head up to inside, because if you guys see right here, Malcolm Roach drops out in coverage to kind of give body help to any crossing routes because we're in man-to-man, a zero blitz. So a little bit more outside leverage could have helped him on this, but nevertheless, that's a tough route to cover.
And honestly, it was a heck of a throw, heck of a catch, and I take blame off of Vance too for making this call because this was their third string running back.
Yeah.
It's not like, even though he was wearing number 8 and looking like Josh Jacobs, this wasn't Josh Jacobs. It was a guy that, man, if he's going to go out and make a play, I guess you tip your cap. If this is Josh Jacobs, I might change my mind and say, Vance, you can't put Jonah Ellis or a rookie on Josh Jacobs, but it's simply not.
No, it's not. So I don't fault Vance at all for this call.
I agree.
All right, so this is the next play. Oh, this is the interception by Brandon Jones. So, everybody sees the back end and what happened. And he got the interception, but this is why he got the interception. You got your outside rushers doing a great job of collapsing the pocket, getting pressure on him, which causes him to have to throw an errant throw. Because we're in cover 2. I felt like everybody played a lot of cover 2 this game. They actually have space for this route that you'll see open up, but you have Nick Bonitto and Jonathan Cooper putting a lot of pressure on Gardner Minshew here. And doing a great job rushing the quarterback. That's what causes him to throw an interception. Because if you see it right here, there's space in between Cody Barton and the safety. And if he's able to put the ball on the money like he wants to, that's a completed pass that goes for almost 20 yards. But because of how well we did rushing the quarterback, we make him throw an errant throw. He sells the football, and Brandon Jones is there to get another interception this year and make a big play that helps spring the Broncos to winning this game. Because before this game, we were down 9-13. Things were really going more so in the Raiders' favor than ours, and this leads to the first touchdown of the game for the Broncos and really got us going on offense.
Yep.
Yeah, rushing coverage right here, just working hand in hand. And that's, again, one of the reasons that made your Super Bowl 50 defense so good is they complemented each other so well. The pass rush would get there, then Aqib, Chris, Stu, all those guys would capitalize on it, get an interception. And then what I loved about this, too, was he caught it about the 40, the 50.
Yeah.
He ran it back into the red zone to just make it so easy for the offense to be able to punch it in.
He's following his blockers, man. I think we talked about that early on in the season when he got an interception. He was just running, doing whatever he wanted, but he did a great job of following his blockers and getting more yards, getting down the sideline, and putting our offense in really, really prime position to score.
And after the game, that's what Bo Nix pointed to as the turning point. He said that interception from Brandon Jones, and I think everyone could feel it, but especially the offense felt like that was a turning point. And, man, it just reminds me of that first Raiders game. Pat Surtain's pick six, that was the turning point. A Brandon Jones interception here, almost a pick six, which, a couple plays later led to a touchdown, which we might be watching right now, is the turning point.
Absolutely. All right, this is the next drive. There's 2 plays later after that interception. We get a touchdown to Cortland Sutton, and this is what Bo Nix is seeing. So right now he sees, 2 high safeties, so it could be in cover 2, cover 4, cover 8, different quarters concepts. But he's able to recognize the defense and see how the safeties rotate and what that means for what kind of defense he's getting. So they start out in a too high look, but right as the ball snapped, this safety comes down. So now they're not going to be in a cover 2 or a cover 4. They're more so like in man-to-man. And no matter what, you got Cortland Sutton out here on the island. Safety has to be in the middle of the field. There's no way you can get to anything happening out here. I think from the moment this ball is snapped, Bo Nix knows where he's going with the football. There's no question. So they're trying to heat Bo Nix up. 1, 2, 3, 4. They send 6 bodies. Everybody else is man-to-man. They're trying to heat him up so that he doesn't have time to throw this ball. But when you have Cortland Sutton on the island, I think you give Cortland Sutton a chance or opportunity. I think he comes down with the football. Talk about him being top 10. You look at yards. You look at receptions now. I just be trying to tell y'all the truth, man. A lot of times y'all don't want to listen to me, but it is what it is. Cortland Sutton does a great job of doing what he does. One-on-one matchups, high point in the football, coming down with it. Great pass, great catch.
Yeah, I love this. And after the game, Court talked us through this play, and he said, man, they singled me up. And we said, okay, you're going to treat me like that? I'll go show you what's up. And then he went and showed him what's up, made that incredible touchdown catch. And he just, right now, he is playing on an absolute tear. He leads the NFL in receiving yards the past 5 weeks. Since that game where he had 0 catches for 0 yards against the Saints, since that game, he leads the NFL almost 100 yards per game. He has 467 receiving yards, most in the NFL. And the crazy thing about that includes Jamar Chase, who had that, 250-yard game on primetime a couple of weeks ago. That includes a 250-yard game from one of the best receivers in the NFL, and Cortland still has more.
So are you saying I'm right? I'm trying to figure out, what I'm saying?
No, you're right.
Okay.
That's what we've seen. I said this yesterday, but he has 70 yards in each of those games. Only 2 other players in the NFL have streaks of 5 games with 70 yards this season, and that's Justin Jefferson and Nico Collins. And you go back, the last Bronco to do it was Demaryius Thomas in 2014. It's only happened 10 times ever for a Bronco. You look at the guys the past couple years who've done it, 4 or 5 a year, and every single one of them is first team All-Pro at some point in his career. That's what Cord has done recently.
Wow. Sounds
8th
like
in the
top
NFL
10
in
to
receiving
me.
yards.
We're going to continue this conversation because we've got a super chat that we're going to hit later just about this. So we'll dive into that after the inside scoop.
All right, next play. They've been using Marvin Mims a lot at different positions. A lot of running back now, and I think he's become a big receiving threat. But what I want you guys to understand here is very similar to what happened against us in the red zone and Jonah Ellis. So you got a defensive end who isn't lined up correctly. So this guy right here is not where he's supposed to be. So his teammate tells him, hey, you're supposed to be on the outside. So he moves him to the outside. But once he gets to the outside, you're going to see everybody's man-to-man. Everybody's locked up. You got the single high safety. But his job, just like Jonas Ellis's job, was you got to peel. Just like this rusher, if you're rushing off the edge and the running back comes this way, you got to peel this guy to this side because we're man-to-man over here. There's nobody else that has him. But because he was late to line up, he didn't know his assignment, and good for the Broncos, he just rushes the quarterback. And he doesn't do his job of peeling who is the running back in Marvin Mims. And Marvin Mims is wide open. This play goes for like 35 yards. Great play for the Denver Broncos. Offense sets us up for another touchdown. But that's all because of somebody not lining up, knowing their job, knowing their responsibility. And good job by Bo for seeing it so quickly, not trying to force a ball here or make an errant throw. Take the easy pass. Somebody didn't do their job. And sometimes I feel like that's hard as a rookie to just see where the defense is messed up and just take those yards. Not try to force anything, just actually see what they gave you, how they responded to what you ran, and take the easy yards. So great job by the team. Marvin Mims has continued to play well. When he hits the edge with that speed, man, I think he's hard to catch.
No doubt, and great job to Sean Payton for giving him for giving Marvin this role. Especially where he can be a safety blanket for both. Sometimes that safety net is a tight end or a running back that's not as elusive and can't take those this far. Now it's starting to become Marvin Mims, which is just huge.
Yep, Marvin Mims is playing really well. All right, this is my last one for you. This is the man of the hour, Nick Bonitto, 10 sacks on the year. Everybody knows him as a speed rush guy. But I just want you guys to see like the kind of power that he presses into this tackle and just pushes him all the way back into the quarterback. You got to give him credit, but you also got to give this other front credit, because where do you go? They always tell you when you get pressure on the edge, step up. Step up if you want to. There's nowhere to go right here. They did a great job of collapsing in the pocket. Nick Bonitto does a great job of using speed and power to push him all the way back into the quarterback. He's able to get his hand on the football. But look at this.
Yeah.
Where is your quarterback supposed to go with the football? What would you ask him to do? There's nothing that he could do here to help your team besides get with the football, because Nick Bonitto's doing a great job, but the entire front four is doing a great job getting after the quarterback. And I would hate to be in this position as a quarterback. Like, I'm yelling at every. You know how like when you do good as a running back, you buy everybody like a Rolex or a car. Like I'm taking cars away. I'm taking everything away. Like you guys got to walk to work. You guys got to take the bus.
Slashing the tires.
Yeah, you can't leave me out here to dry like that.
You're walking to work tomorrow.
Got to.
Well, it's fun that's Colton Miller too. Like, for all the scrubs that the Raiders have out there, that's like a legitimate starting left tackle in the NFL. And Nick Bonitto just bullied him, which is so fun because, like, we kind of been waiting for him to have some sort of counter move. Yeah. Because the first couple years, it's just pure speed, pure speed, pure speed. But then as soon as you add that speed to power, you can just get the guy on his heels and drive him back. All of a sudden, you start having 10-sack seasons. And it's been pretty fun to watch.
And it's just wild that this is his first 10-sack season of his life.
Yeah.
Going back, not just in the NFL, going back to college, going back to high school. And it's just a credit to him. I mean, he is still developing as a player. And if you're still developing as a 10-sack guy, it's really encouraging for the Broncos and for his bank account, because pass rushers are paid tons of money. Yep. Second in the NFL in sacks right now. We'll be talking about him as a guy that after the season might be getting a massive extension. He's not a guy that can get an extension during the season because he's still in his third year right now. But after the season, we will be talking about that. We've got a lot more to talk about. That was the Inside Scoop. Todd, always amazing insight with that. And let's dive into more of the conversation about another move the Broncos made after I give a shout out to our friends over at Empire. Everyone needs floors. But you want good floors. You want floors that are going to last. And because Empire is so good, they've got a lot of competitors out there that don't do as well of a job. But over at Empire, you know you're going to get the best job. They've got $350 off their floors when you check them out and use the code DNVR over at empiretoday.com/DNVR. You're going to get a free in-home estimate and $300 off by using the code DNVR. Empire is the best place to get new flooring, and they've got the best the philosophy. They've got the virtual floor designer, which is a great way to see how new floors will look in any space. It's easy. You just snap a picture and instantly see how the new floors will look in your room. So check them out. Schedule a free in-home estimate today. All listeners receive a $350 off discount when you use the promo code DNVR. Restrictions apply. See empiretoday.com/DNVR for details.
Also, shout out to our friends over at Live Well. Live Well strives to make cannabis accessible to all because they believe everyone deserves to live well. They have 25 convenient Colorado dispensary locations with a premium selection, expert service, all that sort of stuff. Their knowledgeable, supportive staff are here to help you on your journey. You can visit a Live Well dispensary to learn more about their wide selection of cannabis flower, edibles, concentrates, and more. They proudly offer a price match guarantee, which means that if you find eligible products at a different store, you can bring that price in and they will honor it, which is pretty cool. You never really see that. Visit livewell.com today to reserve your products online for a quick in-store pickup, or simply stop by because they'd love to answer all of your questions. If you mention the code DNVR25 in the store, then you can get 25% off one regular priced item. Restrictions apply.
And shout out to Bet365, our presenting sponsor. All right, guys, the Broncos made a move yesterday where they waived tight end Greg Dulcich. It honestly felt like it was a matter of when, not if this was going to happen. The Broncos, Greg Dulcich played the first 4 games of the season, then has been inactive since. He caught passes in the first 2 games, then didn't do anything in games 3 and 4, then inactive since then. Once it was like the 3rd game of him being inactive, that's when I was like, okay, he's done. Whether they move on from him after the season, try to get a conditional 7th round pick back for him in a trade after the season. There were rumors that the Broncos tried to trade him at the trade deadline. Nobody wanted him. It was a matter of when, not if, right?
I don't know if we'll feel any different. Like,
Yeah.
he had a good rookie season, and for the past 1-2, this is now the 3rd year that he's kind of either been injured or not playing. Yeah, I think we have to talk about it because it happened, but I think it was time.
Yeah, I think, even after the game on Sunday, I did think, like, I wonder if Sean at some point just throws Greg in there as, it's December. You have one little tweak to the offense, surprise somebody. Like maybe the Chargers haven't been game playing for somebody like that. Because again, on Sunday, your tight ends had 1 catch for 3 yards. And we've seen them do more in previous games, but I'm still not looking at that group and saying, these guys are awesome. And it's just nice to kind of have that wild card that you could have
He's a
broken
wild
out.
card?
I mean, he's at least something, because as much as I've enjoyed like seeing like Lucas Kroll develop a little bit, you kind of have 3 of the same guy right now.
For sure.
And so I think that there was room to say like, hey, this week, throw him out there. At the same time, though, when you have Lil Jordan Humphrey doing what he's doing, you've got Devon Bailey doing what he's doing, Josh Reynolds coming back, like you just don't really need another weapon. And so it was pretty obvious that this was going to be what happened. There wasn't really a way around it. But, I was wondering on Sunday if that's just one more piece that Sean could potentially just throw in there.
I don't think we're in a position to just be throwing guys out there.
Yeah.
Like, you're either going to bring something to the table or you're not. And I don't know what you thought he was bringing to the table. Like, if he's Thanksgiving, if this team is Thanksgiving, like, what meal is Greg Dulcich?
Well, I would say, wow, that's a good question. He would be like, I can't think of anything that's as unimportant as he is. But the thing is,
he's the cousin that always says he's coming but never shows up.
Wow.
Whoa.
He's supposed to be here. He called Auntie and said he was coming, but he's not. He never shows up.
Well, then
It's been 4 years since we've seen him at Thanksgiving.
Then Adam Troutman, Nate Adkins, and Lucas Kroll are like your 3 funny uncles that are important to have, but you kind of just need one of them. But then all 3 of them just go. It's like, come on, can we just have like this one guy instead who maybe could bring something a little bit different?
They're there.
They are there. But sometimes I wonder if you need all 3 of them to be there.
I just want somebody who can be there.
I think
They will be there.
I think it's actually different than what you guys are saying. I think this is the cousin that says he's going to be there, never shows up, and then when he does show up, he brings nothing to the table.
Yep.
And I think that's what we found out over these past, 7-8 weeks. The first 2 years, it was like, man, when he's healthy, he can be something. His very first catch in the NFL went for a 40-yard touchdown against the Chargers a couple of years ago. We saw flashes. He was good when he played that first year. Last year, really hurt by injuries. And then this past training camp, man, did I think Greg Dulcich was going to be something for this team. He was impressive in training camp. He was flying around. But then the actions of Sean Payton said everything that I needed to know. Being inactive when you have the tight end room that Henry's talking about where no one's great. It's not like you can't take Adam Troutman ever off the field or Lucas Kroll or Nate Adkins. These guys can make plays, but they're certainly not guys that can never be on that you can't take off the field for Greg Dulcich. And when Greg Dulcich isn't just not on the field, he doesn't even have a jersey.
Yeah.
That told me everything I need to know is that he's not the guy that everyone thought he could be. He wasn't the guy that everyone was hoping for. He wasn't the guy that I thought he was in training camp. And I don't know what I was seeing in training camp if Sean Payton literally didn't want him to give one of the 3 jerseys to him. So unfortunately, he's not the guy we thought he was.
And he's a good guy. He's a nice guy. Like, this is not anything about him, like, personally. It's just he just didn't hold up his end of the bargain as far as, like, playing. The best ability is availability, and he just wasn't around for most of the time. And then the last 2 games that he played, like, you have drop passes, you have incomplete balls, I just don't think that he was a good fit right now for this team.
I agree. I 100% agree. It's just that when you have a guy like that at a position where you're not getting enough, and
what do you mean? You keep saying a guy like that.
A guy like just a change up, a guy who's a different style of player. I don't buy that you couldn't have had. Again, you pick out one of these games and say there's a package. We know what he does. You split him out in the slot. Like, you hope that the defense is going to give you a heavy look against it. And if you scout a team that's going to match up heavy whenever you put a tight end out there, then maybe that's the week where you say, hey, we've got this package where we put him in. Like, we don't necessarily need 3 blocking tight ends this week. We'll live without one of them. Like, it's not something that I think they should have done, but something that I thought could be like a little tweak to the offense that they still had at least like up their sleeve if they needed something.
Well, but Henry, I agree with you. That's what I thought in training camp. That's what I thought maybe the first week he was inactive, that it was just playing the pieces of your schedule. But then when he's inactive for so many months in a row now, there's no one better in the NFL, and we talked about this right when the Broncos got Sean Payton. There's no one better in the NFL than using guys to their strengths, specifically at skill positions. He's really good at rotating guys in and out. You're not always just going to have a guy on the field to have him on the field. So if anyone was going to be able to maximize Greg Dulcich, I truly thought it was Sean Payton. And
if his goal was to maximize him,
why would his goal not to be to maximize any player on the team?
Because you can't maximize every player. Otherwise, Devon Vele is playing 85% of the snaps.
Well, we're seeing Devon Vele get up there.
You just said you wanted him maximized. So if you can't maximize
I'm not
everybody,
saying
you
like
have
put
to
him
pick
out
and
on the
choose.
field, play him every down, like do all you can to develop him. I'm just saying that there are things that he does that you just don't have. And again, I wouldn't have played him, to make that clear. I wouldn't have done this. I just thought that is one of the little quirks that they could have up their sleeve, and it's disappointing that is not the case. But I don't even think Greg Dulcich is the conversation here. Greg Dulcich, I mean, that's old news. Like, to me, that's hardly even worth talking about. The big thing here is that you're getting Josh Reynolds and, as it stands now, or Drew Sanders back.
Yep.
Like, you need to make another move to get both of those guys on the roster. Josh Reynolds, you have to bring back. Like, even though the receivers look good, he's a proven commodity. You can't afford to just leave him on the bench. I think on a per-game basis, he's probably your second best receiver. Drew Sanders is the interesting one to me because I'm not sure. I think Dondre Tillman right now is a better football player than Drew is. But Drew has his skill set that he brings to the table. You give him the chance in year 2 to get a month of football. I'm curious how he fits in because he's either going to be on the team on Sunday or he's done for the year.
Well, you're not bringing Drew Sanders back to give him a month of football before the offseason. You're making a playoff push right now. You're not developing guys as the season goes on. So it's if they think he can have an impact right now and help this team. And if you think DeAndre Tillman is, and if the coaches think DeAndre Tillman's better than Drew Sanders right now, you're not moving on from DeAndre Tillman right now, and you still have to open up one more roster spot if you're going to bring Josh Reynolds back. I agree that you do bring Josh Reynolds back. Now, his role might not be the same because we're seeing Devon Vele really step up. Just had a career day, 80 receiving yards this past week. That's a career high for him. And then even after that game, yesterday, Sean Payton told us he wants to find even more ways to get Devon Vele on the field, get more touches for Devon Vele and Audric Estime. So I think Josh Reynolds has been Wally pipped in his role by Devon Vele, a term we learned as a group a couple weeks ago. But I think Josh Reynolds, Henry, I'd agree. You have to bring Josh Reynolds Reynolds back. Drew Sanders is the interesting one because are you willing to cut someone on your team to bring him back? Is he a developmental piece? Is he a guy that's actually going to get on the field? What's his role looking like? Because you do have to make a decision.
What's Riley's injury? If he's out 4 weeks, then...
But two guys, Riley Moss's injury and Zach Allen's injury.
Yeah.
Zach Allen, on Sunday before the game, was wearing a big boot on his ankle. It wasn't just a small one. This thing went up almost to the knee. It was like a boot you wear after you have surgery. Now, Zach didn't have surgery, but it was way bigger than I was expecting. Sean, after the game, told us Zach Allen is going to be fine. He told us that yesterday. He said Riley Moss has an MCL injury, avoided a serious injury, is going to be fine. Who knows if fine means not done for
like McGlinchey
a
knee
year.
sprain, you know?
Yeah, if it means you're on IR, if it means you're back next week. So that is interesting. If one of those guys is injured, then easy. You can bring Drew Sanders and Josh Reynolds back, or injured to an extent of IR. I hope that's not the case, though, because the Broncos need Riley Moss, and they really need Zach Allen.
If Zach Allen was going to IR, they probably would have done it last week, though. That way you start the clock, because if you have to sit out 4 games, get that first one out of the way.
But remember, Zach Allen's injury likely happened on Friday's practice, so maybe they had to wait for swelling to go down to see just the extent of it, and maybe they didn't have enough information because they would have had to do that on Saturday, just 24 hours after that injury.
I can't. The fact that he made the trip with the team, like I get he's in a boot, but you see guys in a boot all the time, you know? Like you see guys in a boot and then they play 2 days later. So I think I'm not as worried about that one since he wasn't on IR. Riley, though, again, McGlinchey had something similar, the knee sprain.
Yeah.
Like, so it could be a 4-week thing there.
Yeah, those boots are always about like not putting pressure on whatever ligament is hurting. It doesn't mean that it's a serious injury, but it does mean that there's something there that you can't put your full body weight on. So, that's a little alarming. So we'll see what happens there. And MCLs, they're tough, man, because like you don't have to tear it for you to be in pain. Like you can sprain it, you can bruise it. Like there's a lot of things you can do to be in pain from your MCL. So hopefully those two guys get back healthy. And you guys were talking about roster spots. For me, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Like there's no reason to bring another wide receiver back to try and force him to football and figure. I know we're paying him money, but Bo Nix is happy and healthy and comfortable. Like let's just keep that train going. Like you said, 2 interceptions last 7 games. Like I'm okay right now. If we need him, we'll figure it out. But for right now, like let's just keep this train going.
The other thing with Josh Reynolds is it isn't just being on the roster. It's about whose uniform do you take away to play him. Because it's obviously like you're keeping your running backs, you're keeping 3 tight ends, the offensive line you're keeping. So you need to probably take a uniform away from another receiver. And so you're probably saying when Josh Reynolds was healthy, it was either Troy Franklin or Devon Vele. It probably can't be Devon Vele at this point. Troy Franklin, you really don't want to take it away. And you see people in the chat talking about A.T. Perry. It's the same thing. They could play A.T. Perry. You just have to not play Troy Franklin because you only get 46 players. And that, to me, is maybe even tougher than the Drew Sanders thing, is figuring out, do you just say, like, Josh, you're on the roster, but we got to play the young guys?
Potentially, or you say it depends on the matchup, and if you're going more run heavy, you go with Lil Jordan Humphrey. If you're going more pass heavy, like the Broncos did this past week, they ran the ball.
That's what I feel like would be
they
the odd
passed
man
the
out.
ball 2 times more than they ran the ball. What was that, Todd?
I said that's what I feel like would be the odd man out.
I think so too.
Again, though, you just watch whenever they have a big run, it's Lil Jordan right there who's making the block.
But again, on games where you are going to be throwing the ball more, Josh Reynolds is more valuable than Lil Jordan, in my opinion. We can continue this conversation, but I got to give a shout out first to our friends over at right here, DNVR. We've got a Black Friday sale dropping this week. Stay tuned. Even though Todd's giving me crazy eyes, he's all about Black Friday sales, so he might buy all of this merch before you're able to get on there. So make sure to check us out over at thednvr.com and also the DNVR Locker, but also become a diehard because then you get access to these deals earlier. You get extra percentages off our Black Friday. And also, you're going to want to join us this coming Monday. Broncos, Browns, we will be out there at the tailgate before this game. Take Monday off. Join us early downtown at our tailgate, which is right off of Federal and 18th and right behind Sports Fan. If you want to buy tickets for that, go to thednvr.com/events. We'd love to see you out there. It's the best tailgate of anyone out there. We've got Primo Hoagies, Breck Brew, Breck Distillery, Yard Games, the best view that any tailgate has. So check us out. Buy tickets over at thednvr.com/events. Look forward to seeing you there.
And also check out Bet365. I made some money on, what did I get? The Ravens last night obviously beat the Chargers. That was an easy one. I got 2 comebacks. Been watching a lot of the Maui Invitational because the Buffs are there. They play number 2 UConn today. I'm going to go into that game positive and see what happens. But Auburn yesterday had this crazy comeback, hit that. That was like 7-1. North Carolina had a crazy comeback, 6-1, because everything's just weird when you send basketball teams, college kids, to Hawaii for a week. Tonight, though, I guess college basketball, no Nuggets or Avs. Always plenty at Bet365, though. Over 10,000 boosts per month. And right now, when you sign up, they have a pretty cool offer because they are an official partner of the Nuggets and Avalanche. New customers can get $150 in bonus bets when they bet $5 and 2 months of Altitude Plus. So all you got to do is sign up, use the code DNVR365, deposit $10, place a bet for $5 and get $150 in bonus bets, and to get a code to get the first 2 months of Altitude Plus courtesy of Bet365. Must be 21 or older and physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If you or somebody you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER.
And shout out to Bet365 for being our presenting sponsor. Okay, before we move on, guys, do you have any final thoughts on the Drew Sanders, Josh Reynolds situation?
I'm just curious. Like, it's one of those things where it's always good to be a really healthy team, but there are very few teams in the NFL who are struggling to find roster spots or game day spots at this point in the season. Because typically, like, you send guys on IR, you have plenty of other guys you can just move off the team. So, I mean, like, Lavelle Bailey, one of the exciting rookies, he's maybe number 53 or number 52 with Greg gone, but they need another spot. So I'm curious what that's going to look like. I'm curious if they're going to find a role for Drew Sanders. He looked good at the end of last year. And then these receivers are just strange because you'd really like to have all of them. You'd like to have A.T. Perry too, but you only get, probably 5 uniforms for game day. So maybe or 6.
Yeah, the A.T. Perry hype is just wild. I mean, I think it's good that the Broncos have him on their practice squad, but he is like not a guy that's going to be doing anything for this team this year. I think fans are just way overly excited about the name, the potential, some flashes that he had last year. The Broncos receiver room is set. Like Todd said, Josh Reynolds has at least worked in with Bo Nix on the game day field. A.T. Perry never has, and by the way, also A.T. Perry was on the side field, meaning he's dealing with a little bit of an injury. So you can be excited about him, but be excited about him for 2025, 2026. I mean, you're not going to be putting him in there ever, let alone to have a significant role on this season.
You just wouldn't
the next
be able,
6 weeks.
because you're not taking Troy Franklin off to play him. And that's what you would have to do.
I mean, so many reasons. That's one of them, too. Okay, let's move on here. And, Henry, you mentioned the Chargers losing to the Ravens last night. Let's take a look at where the Broncos stand. Let's look at this in the hunt graphic because the Broncos aren't in the hunt, guys. The Broncos are in the hunt. They are in the race. And this week was good news for the Broncos. Their lead on the final wild card spot in the AFC grew. They entered with a 1-game lead. Thanks to the Colts losing to the Lions this week, Broncos grew their lead on them to 2 games. Unfortunately, the Dolphins creeping up here. They won, but they're still over a game back of the Broncos for that final wild card spot. And then the Broncos tighten the gap between them and the Chargers. Now the Broncos are only half a game back of the Chargers for that second wild card spot. And guys, if the season were to end today, the Broncos are playing the Bills in the first round in Buffalo. That's why I think catching the Chargers is so crucial and why last night's loss and collapse for the Chargers. They were up 10-0. Went on to pretty much get destroyed the rest of the game until a garbage time touchdown. But I think it's huge for the Broncos to catch the Chargers here, because if they do, and the season were to end today, and let's say the Broncos jump the Chargers, beat them in L.A., have that tiebreaker, and then they're the 6th seed, instead of going into Buffalo to play the Bills, they'd be going into Pittsburgh to play the Steelers. And while I'm not saying that's an easy game, I think it's much easier playing the Steelers in Pittsburgh against Buffalo in Buffalo. Maybe I'm just going for the storyline of Russ against the Broncos in the playoffs, but I think that would be a much better game for the Broncos.
Way better. A way easier game, way easier opponent. They're both going to be cold as hell, though. Why are the top 3 teams in the AFC all cold as hell home games? Like, nobody wants to play in either of those spots in the middle of December or January.
And I honestly wouldn't mind playing the Chiefs in the first round. Like, I'd rather play the Chiefs than the Bills.
Yeah.
And
right now
that's the other thing you look
but
at.
You can't,
Yeah.
You can't do that. So
You can't. Well, unless the Bills pass the Chiefs.
Yes.
Which, again, like, you get the Chiefs the last week of the season, so you can give them 1 loss, and then all of a sudden they both have 2.
Then you got to play them again.
And the Chiefs don't look great. I know, that is a weird dynamic.
Yeah.
Well, the Bills have a...
But I almost like it for Sean. I guess they have Andy Reid, too. Like, those 2 guys that have so many things going on.
Man, it'd be so interesting seeing how both of those teams went into that final game, and then just 1 week later play each other. You're right. I mean, Henry, I think that's definitely a dream world, and not a fairy tale world, but I think that's something that I would like to see as well. The Bills also have the tiebreaker over the Chiefs because they beat them, but right now the Chiefs control their own destiny for that number 1 seed, because if they don't lose again, then there's nothing the Bills can do to catch them. So that's definitely something to keep an eye on. The teams that I want to avoid as much as possible from a Broncos perspective, the Ravens. I know they're, somehow they have 4 losses on the season. They look like they were never going to lose a game when they played the Broncos. I don't like that matchup. Obviously, we saw it firsthand. Don't like it at all. And then the Bills, just a team that I think could be a really tough matchup. I'm okay with playing the Steelers. I'm okay with playing the Chiefs. Both of those would be on the road, and I'm okay. I would love to play the Texans. Now, in order to play the Texans, you're probably going to have the first wild card spot, which means you have to catch the Ravens, which means you're going to have you're not just going to be able to tie the Ravens because they beat you. They've got the tiebreaker. You're going to have to jump them. So I just think that might be too lofty of a goal. But hey, you're only 1 game back of them, but actually a game and a half because they have that tiebreaker. So you need to get 2 games on the Ravens. Maybe won't happen, but man, you're right there with the Chargers. And that Thursday night game is going to be huge. If the Chargers win that one, it's going to be really hard for the Broncos to overtake them because the Chargers will have an extra game on you, plus they'll have the tiebreaker. So that Thursday night game, it just keeps getting bigger and bigger the closer we get to it.
I feel like the Ravens are going to find a way to win their division. I know they lost to the Steelers, what was that, last week? But I still feel like they're going to find a way to win. They're too good of a team.
I agree.
And the Steelers, to me, like, they have a really good defense, but they're not a good team. Like, you got to call them solid just because they're finding ways to win games.
Yeah.
But I think at any moment, Russell Wilson will have a game like he had, what was that, Thursday night, and then, it's game over.
The thing is, it doesn't seem sustainable, but that's been like Russ's entire career. Even last year, he was first in the NFL in 4th quarter comebacks. And like that wasn't like a great Broncos team. I think he was second in game-winning drives. So as much as I agree that like, again, they only have a game and a half lead on the Texans, and the Steelers look like they could rattle off 3 straight wins at any given moment. I feel like there's also just like decades of waiting. It's kind of like the Chiefs, where it's like it's not sustainable for them to keep winning these games, but they just keep doing it. At some point, you just have to expect them to keep doing it.
I mean, our record was what last year?
8-9.
So I mean, he had the most 4 quarter comebacks, and we only had 8 wins. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I don't know. I don't feel like it's sustainable.
Just remember the Ravens also lost to the Steelers. So the
did.
Steelers right now have that tiebreaker. They play again in a couple of weeks, so that's going to be big. We'll continue to follow this, of course. But we got some super chats to hit. First one coming in from our friend Bryce, who says, Henry, I listened to the pod yesterday, and you talked about Benito's sack. If I recall rightly, you said you owe him some money. Me too. $1,800 a sack.
Wow.
That's pretty good.
Wow,
That's
Bryce.
pretty good.
Impressive bet. I wonder what that was on.
They
That
just
is-
keep letting you get plus money on Nick Benito to get a sack. And he has, he's at 9 of the last 10 games now? 9 of the last 10 games he has a sack.
Yep, exactly. And 10 on the season, so we'll just continue
No,
to
he
see
has
him.
10 sacks in the last 10 games.
He does.
But one
There's
of the
2
games
and
he
1.
didn't have one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, that is really impressive, Bryce. So maybe you can still get in on that plus money this coming week against Jameis Winston, a guy that does hold on to the ball still. Andrew chiming in and says, when will Sutton be extended? He's clearly wide receiver 1.
He's under contract.
Yeah, simple economics says you don't extend him. Now, Broncos have extended guys, including Courtland Sutton, during their bye week. Their bye week's next week, so maybe we see a contract extension come that way. But Courtland Sutton his price has never been higher than right now. So I'm sure he wants an extension right now, but I'm sure George Payton and Sean Payton are saying, oh, there's no rush for this. Not only do we not have to do it this year, we have all of next year to do it as well. We'll see how that dynamic plays out over the course of the offseason because obviously Courtland wanted a new deal this year. Broncos said no. They met on a little bit of incentives, and it looks like Courtland's going to hit those incentives, which is awesome for him, but that's going to be one of the biggest storylines this offseason coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be huge.
The fact that you have Courtland Sutton under contract for $50.5 million next year, absolute steal.
Absolute steal.
Crazy.
That I don't think you're going to be able to get away with.
We'll see. And what's he going to do? Sit out?
Yeah.
We'll see you in 2026 then.
We saw him sit out entire. Oh, we got another super chat rolling in. E. Lozano says, you think it's time for a 2 running back system?
Yes. I don't know which 2 right now.
That's the thing.
But we have 2 running backs and we have Marvin Mims. We already have a 3 running back system. So right now we're running a 4 running back system. That's too much.
Yep, and Sean agrees with you. He likes 2 running back systems. Got to have that. Josh Johnson chiming in and says, are all 3 of you going to be at the tailgate Monday? Excited to hang out? If so.
Oh, yeah. Haven't missed one.
Let's go. And the tailgate show is going to be from the tailgate?
I don't know. Monday night it might be cold.
Monday night might be
You'll
cold.
be fine.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're saying it's going to be
I don't
there.
agree to anything, so I don't care what you guys want.
Todd, we'll see you there, Josh. That's going to happen. That's going to do it for us. We'll be back tomorrow with Baldy and a big conversation tomorrow. We're excited to talk about it. See you guys tomorrow.
We all silly like the mayor.